Israel and Gaza militants exchange fire. Israeli jets pounded militant targets in Gaza on Saturday as rockets rained on southern Israel, hours after a wave of Israeli airstrikes on the coastal enclave killed at least 11 people, including a senior militant and a 5-year-old girl. The fighting that began Friday with Israel's dramatic targeted killing of a senior commander of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad continued throughout the night, drawing the sides closer to an all-out war. But the territory's Hamas rulers appeared to stay on the sidelines of the conflict, keeping its intensity somewhat contained, for now. Israel and Hamas have fought 4 wars and several smaller battles over the last 15 years at a staggering cost to the territory's 2 million Palestinian residents. Shortly before noon, Israeli warplanes stepped up airstrikes in Gaza. After warning residents in phone calls, fighter jets dropped 2 bombs on the house of an Islamic Jihad member, flattening the West Gaza City 2-story structure and badly damaging surrounding homes. Women and children rushed out of the area.
Indiana on Friday became the first state in the nation to approve abortion restrictions since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, as the Republican governor quickly signed a near-total ban on the procedure shortly after lawmakers approved it. The ban, which takes effect September 15, includes some exceptions. Abortions would be permitted in cases of rape and incest, before 10 weeks post-fertilization, to protect the life and physical health of the mother, and if a fetus is diagnosed with a lethal anomaly. Victims of rape and incest would not be required to sign a notarized affidavit attesting to an attack, as had once been proposed. Under the bill, abortions can be performed only in hospitals or outpatient centers owned by hospitals, meaning all abortion clinics would lose their licenses. A doctor who performs an illegal abortion or fails to file required reports must also lose their medical license, wording that tightens current Indiana law that says a doctor may lose their license. Taiwan said Saturday that China's military drills appear to simulate an attack on the self-ruled island, after multiple Chinese warships and aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait following U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei that infuriated Beijing. Taiwan's armed forces issued an alert, dispatched air and naval patrols around the island, and activated land-based missile systems in response to the Chinese exercises, Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense said on Twitter. China launched live-fire military drills following Pelosi's trip to Taiwan earlier this week, saying that it violated the One China policy. China sees the island as a breakaway province to be annexed by force if necessary, and considers visits to Taiwan by foreign officials as recognizing its sovereignty. Taiwan's army also said it detected 4 unmanned aerial vehicles flying in the vicinity of the offshore county of Kinmen on Friday night, Taiwan's central news agency reported.
Foreign ministers from the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations (ASEAN) have agreed to bar Myanmar's ruling generals from the group's meetings until they make progress on a 15-month-old plan to address the crisis triggered by the military coup. Speaking at a press conference at the end of a series of ASEAN regional meetings in Phnom Penh, Cambodia's Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn, who is also a special envoy on Myanmar, said the generals must act in a way that shows progress is made. Then we will be able to act on a decision to show progress. On Friday, the foreign ministers condemned the lack of progress in the so-called 5-point consensus that was agreed upon with Army Chief and coup leader Senior General Min Aung Hlaing in April 2021, and demanded the self-proclaimed State Administration Council (SAC) take action to comply with the plan before a regional summit in November. The ministers said they were deeply disappointed by the limited progress in and lack of commitment of the Naypyidaw authorities to the timely and complete implementation of the 5-point consensus. And in a veiled warning to Myanmar's military authorities, the statement, referencing Article 20 of the ASEAN Charter, noted the leaders meeting later this year could still take action over non-compliance. Myanmar was plunged into crisis when the military detained elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi and other senior officials in February 2021 and seized power for themselves.
After deadly air raids on Gaza, analysts question Israel's motivation amid political turmoil and with new elections upcoming. Israel's attack on Gaza on Friday was weeks in the making, a deliberate act to gain legitimacy with its public, say Palestinian observers, as Israel braces for new elections in November. Israel launched missiles throughout the besieged Palestinian enclave, killing 10 people, including a 5-year-old girl, a 23-year-old woman, as well as Taysir al-Jabari, a commander of Islamic Jihad's military wing.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has accused China of irresponsible steps by halting key communication channels with Washington, and said Beijing's retaliatory actions towards Taiwan showed China had moved from prioritizing peaceful resolutions to the use of force. Blinken's comments on Saturday came as Chinese military aircraft and warships continue to simulate an attack on Taiwan, officials in Taipei said, as part of a raft of steps taken by Beijing after a visit to the island democracy by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi earlier this week.
On August 9, Kenyans are heading to the polls to pick the country's fifth president in what pundits say will be a hotly contested election. 4 candidates are competing for the country's top position. William Ruto, having served 2 terms as deputy president in the current government, is eager to succeed his current boss, who he is feuding with. Raila Odinga, who has unsuccessfully contested the presidency 4 times before, is his main challenger. He has the backing of the outgoing president, Uhuru Kenyatta, his former foe. 2 other candidates, George Wajakoya and David Mwaura, complete the list. Besides the presidential election, people will also go to the polls to vote in governors, members of the National Assembly, senators and members of the county assembly. 12 people will be nominated to the National Assembly, according to the Constitution, to represent special interest groups including people with disabilities, youths and workers.
Crystal Palace are hosting Arsenal on the opening day of the new English Premier League season on Friday. Manchester City have won 4 of the last 5 titles with Liverpool's lockdown success in 2020, the only interruption to the dominance of Pep Guardiola's team. Not since Chelsea triumphed in 2017, a year after Leicester City's utterly unexpected title, has the Premier League had a winner from outside the 2 clubs in the country's northwest. The new season starts a week earlier than the last one and will end a week later too in order to accommodate an extended winter break due to the World Cup.
President of Pakistan Arif Alvi has termed reports of him not attending the funeral of the shooter, who embraced martyrdom in the Balochistan helicopter crash, as unnecessary controversy, after it was speculated that the top official did not go due to the ongoing hateful campaign by social media trolls which posed a threat. The president posted a thread for clarification on his personal social media account. It was not retweeted by the account of President of Pakistan till the filing of this report. There is unnecessary controversy on why I did not attend Janazah of the Shaheeds recently, the president said, a day after the martyrs were laid to rest with full military honors.
The murders of 3 Muslim men in New Mexico's largest city in the past 9 months were likely linked and they appear to have been targeted for their religion and race, police said. 2 members of the same mosque were shot dead in Albuquerque in the last 10 days and there is a strong possibility their deaths are connected to the November killing of an Afghan immigrant, according to a city police official. In all 3 cases victims were ambushed and shot without warning, city police said.
At least 12 people have died and 43 suffered injuries, 18 of them seriously, after a Poland-registered bus skidded from a highway in northern Croatia. The bus was traveling in the direction of Zagreb, Croatia's capital, on Saturday. All the victims are Polish citizens. We can at this point confirm this, a Polish Foreign Ministry spokesperson told Polish private broadcaster TVN24. The bus has Warsaw registration plates.
North Korea has hit out at U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi over her recent visit to the heavily fortified demilitarized zone, calling her the worst destroyer of international peace. Pelosi, who visited Seoul earlier this week following a trip to Taiwan, became the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit the joint security area between the 2 Koreas since then President Donald Trump met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un there in 2019. Prior to the JSA visit, Pelosi discussed the grave situation and growing threat posed by the North's nuclear weapons program with her South Korean counterpart, National Assembly Speaker Kim Jin-pyo. The pair called for strong and extended deterrence against North Korea, and vowed to support efforts by Washington and Seoul to achieve Pyongyang's denuclearization. The North denounced on Saturday Pelosi for both her discussions with Kim and her visit to the JSA. On top of the deterrence talks, Pelosi made her appearance even in the joint security area of Panmunjom, utterly betraying the vision of the hostile policy of the current U.S. administration towards the DPRK, said Jo Yong-sam, an official at North Korea's foreign ministry, using the North's official name. The U.S. is just adding fuel to the fire, Jo added in a statement carried by Pyongyang's official Korean Central News Agency. The JSA is the only spot along the tense, 155-mile frontier where soldiers from North Korea and the US-led United Nations Command stand face to face. Pelosi's Taiwan visit, meanwhile, drew threats and massive military drills from China, which sees the self-ruled island as a part of its territory and has vowed to take it, by force if necessary. China is the North's key ally and trade partner, and Pyongyang also lashed out at Pelosi over the visit. Pelosi, the worst destroyer of international peace and stability, incurred the wrath of the Chinese people for her recent junket to Taiwan, the Foreign Ministry's Jo said in the statement. The US will have to pay dearly for all the sources of trouble spawned by her wherever she went. The rebuke from the North comes about a week after Kim Jong-un said his country was ready to mobilize its nuclear deterrent in any future military conflict with the United States and Seoul. North Korea has conducted a record-breaking blitz of weapons tests so far this year, including firing an intercontinental ballistic missile at full range for the first time since 2017. Washington and Seoul officials have repeatedly warned that the North is preparing to carry out what would be its seventh nuclear test, a move that the United States warned would provoke a swift and forceful response.
Be aware with the world. APN Broadcast Service.